Game on, game on. This is your girl, the self-proclaimed sportsnista, Yakiri Thomas. I'm super excited. I have a wonderful guest, certified life coach, cancer survivor, nurse, and autism activist. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rhonda. What's your last name? Seven?
Savain.
Savain to the sports. I want to make sure I got your name right. Rhonda Savain, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's go right into talking to you about, children. Did you always have a love for helping kids?
I wouldn't say kids specifically, but I've always had a passion to help people from when I was very young. I remember when I was about 6 or 7, my mom had surgery and I jumped right in and I was helping her with her bandages. And it was a very vivid memory. And I think most people at that age would be squeamish with wounds and blood and stuff like that. And I just always, it's kind of innate for me to help.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I guess being a nurse would definitely be right up your alley, right?
Yeah, I decided that when I was like 5. And I don't remember the whole story, but I know I went to a doctor's visit. And whatever happened during that visit, I said, I'm going to be a nurse. And that was at the age of 5. And I just held on to that.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Now, go ahead, jump from being 5 to now, and just tell us about your decision on just being a life coach.
Well, I think my story is quite unique. I've been through a lot of different challenges. So I went from nursing to being a certified teacher. And I realized I taught in high school for about 7 years, Hillcrest High School, specifically in Jamaica, Queens, New York, which was also the high school that I happened to graduate from. And while I was teaching, I realized that there was something more than the teaching, because a lot of the teen girls would gravitate towards me for whatever reason. So I was usually strict and firm, but it was tough love. And I respected them and supported them, and they realized that. So I really think my passion for mentoring came out of my teaching. So it was nursing to teaching to mentoring. And I realized that a lot of those young ladies, and that is probably about 19, 20 years ago since I finished teaching, I am still in touch with many of those young ladies. So I've been mentoring them for free for all these years. And then when COVID hit, I was just inspired to start life coaching. So I think my journey has always been to help and to inspire. So the nursing, the teaching, the mentoring, the coaching, they're definitely all related.
Awesome. Of course it is. Now, I guess when we were talking about you moving from nursing to teaching to mentoring, who is your ideal target market, or maybe your ideal client?
Well, I like working with teens. I like working with women. I like working with young adults. So in general, I would say females and women. But if I was to get very, very specific, I would go down to cancer and autism and business development. So I really run the gamut. But if I had to be very, very specific, I would say women and young girls.
Ah, love that. Love that. Now, you have a blessed story. I mean, you have an amazing, amazing story. Quite impressive. You are a blessed cancer survivor. Could you just talk to us about your health journey and your change in your outlook on just business life, and just give us just a little bit on how you got from surviving cancer to business life right now?
Well, the business life started prior to the cancer. So my first business, I've actually started 6 businesses in my lifetime. One of my businesses started, let's say, in 2003. And at that time, what I do is I train nurses to pass the state boards. The test is called NCLEX. So I prep nurses to pass the state board. So I've been doing that since 2003. And then in 2013, the cancer came, breast cancer. No family history. It just came out of nowhere. And it was diagnosed via a mammogram. So the year prior, my mammogram was normal. When I went back, they said, we see something, you need to come back. Went back, had a biopsy. They say you have cancer. And I was like, I have what? So cancer came in 2013. I'm still running the business. I'm working in between treatments, 10 surgeries from then to now, chemotherapy. But despite my battle with the cancer, I still continue to work during my treatments. So for whatever reason, I'm the type of person that when I get knocked down, I'm coming back stronger. So the cancer really didn't defeat me. I feel like I defeated the cancer. So, you know, out of a lot of my suffering is where my passion came from to mentor other women. So to me, I don't really do it for the money. I do it for the passion and for the love of helping other people.
Oh my gosh, that is so inspiring. I mean, just going from fighting from cancer and just fighting, you know, through your struggles or whatever, you were just resilient and thinking about others. That is an amazing story. What is one thing that you can think about, or you would say, just looking back at that, what was the one thing that stood out for you and just made you learn about yourself? What was that one thing?
I would say the suffering, because it was a lot of suffering. The suffering, I think, gave me courage. And through that, I realized that I needed to have more self-care. So I've spent most of my life caring for and worrying about everyone else. But when I got cancer, I realized, Rhonda, it's time now to check and look after yourself. So it was out of my cancer that I started eating healthier. Even though I was a nurse, when I really look back, I wasn't really eating very healthy. I started exercising. So like after my cancer, I dropped like 25 pounds. And I wasn't huge, but I definitely could have spared a few pounds. So I started to realize, like, you know what? You're so busy worrying about everybody else. You need to start worrying about yourself. So to answer your question, the biggest thing that came out of the cancer was courage. And through the courage, it also taught me that I need to take care of myself, because if I didn't take care of myself, I wouldn't be around to help other people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, can you let's just talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. You know, you are courageous. You took care of yourself. Now we're moving on to the entrepreneur side. Which one is the hardest? Being an entrepreneur or working for the corporate world of corporate America?
I would say working for corporate would definitely be more difficult for me. So I would make this specific to me, that everyone is different. And I would say the reason why corporate is difficult for me is because I've always felt like I was cut from my own cloth. So I never really went with the flow of what everyone else was doing. So when you're in corporate, they want to tell you what time to come, what time to leave, when to take your break, when you're going to get a holiday, when you're going to get a day off. So that was never the path that I wanted to stay on permanently. So that was tough for me, especially when people tell you what to do and they may not even be as bright as you are. So for entrepreneurship, I find it very easy because I get to make my own rules and I get to make my own path and I get to come and go as I please. And I work hard, or even harder than I would work in corporate, but it's easier for me to do because I get to make my own rules.
Oh my gosh, yes, bossing up, ma'am, boss up. That's what I'm talking about. Amazing, amazing. Now let's go like a little bit backwards. If you can look back over your life, 16-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself?
Hmm. Well, if I were to go back, I would say 16, I was high school age,
Mm-hmm.
11th grade. And realizing now, looking back, I would tell myself, don't be upset because of the hurdles. Don't be upset because of the tough times. Don't be upset because you shed some tears, because at the end, it's going to take you to that place where you need to be. So all of it is necessary for you to become your best self. So if I knew now what I knew then, I may not have cried enough because that much, because I know that the tears would have been beneficial, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It makes sense to me. Yes, absolutely. Now, let me talk a little bit about something that's kind of close to my heart, autism. You are also an autism advocate. Let's talk about how did you embark on that mission?
Well, at the age of my son is autistic. He is now 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I didn't necessarily want to do it. I had to do it because again, that was another one of my trials and tribulations. So for me, I realized that something was wrong with my son very young. I realized at 8 months. So he was rocking, he was banging his head. So he would always have this type of motion. And I didn't know what autism was at that time. I'll be completely honest. Although I was a nurse, I just knew that something was wrong. So there the journey began 26 years ago. And it was just tough. I mean, special ed, OT, occupational therapy, speech therapy. It was just a nightmare, and it still is a nightmare. So out of, again, another suffering, I just started to realize that people with autism, they need a voice. And I feel like I am not where I want to be in terms of advocacy because I'm still having so much trouble with my own son. And I don't necessarily have all the support that I need, but I'm very passionate about doing something great for young people with autism, because one of the areas that I realized is really lacking is after high school. So the school will give you great support until you're 21, 22, depending on the state that you're living in. And then if you're autistic, you're out. So now what are you doing? A lot of them are sitting in day programs coloring. And a lot of people with autism, they have so many gifts, whether it's music, whether it's construction. And I feel, my personal opinion is that these gifts are not being birthed because pretty much I haven't really found any one person to help my son to pursue his dreams and his passions. And another thing I realized in life is sometimes when you're looking around for somebody to do something, you have to look in the mirror because that person is you. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, my passion for autism came out of my struggles and suffering in dealing with my own son. And the good news is he's 26 now and he lives alone. So it took yeoman's work. And I'm interested in helping other women to help their children to become independent. So that's one of my passions in terms of working, with parents that have young people with autism, to say they don't have to sit in the corner rocking and banging their head for the rest of their life. Look what I've done. So that's where we are with that.
Amazing, so inspiring. And again, autism is very close to me as well. My brother-in-law, he is in his 30s and he does have full-blown autism. I know that it has been a struggle, but just seeing your, passion and your inspiration is just encouraging for us all. Thank you so much, And before we leave, I definitely want to know, what team are you rooting for in the NBA finals? I know our Hawks are out of here. They're eliminated. But who are you rooting for?
I've been going back and forth, but I think at this point, I may say the Bucks. And I can't even tell you that I have a specific reason. I think I'm going to say I'm going to root for the Bucks.
Okay, you heard it here. Sports fan Rhonda Savain has said the Bucks will win it in the finals. Now, Rhonda, could you tell us how we can find out more information about you on social media? Where can we follow you? Everything from Facebook to Twitter to everywhere. Where can we see you and find you?
So my website is Decisions LC, the LC standing for life coaching, decisionslc.com. So that would be my website. My Facebook and Instagram are Decisions LC. So it's very consistent. So that would be the best way to find me. Facebook and Instagram, Decisions LC. And then my website again, www.decisionslc.com. And you can find me.
Thank you, my lovely guest, Rhonda Savain. Amazing. Another wonderful, amazing woman. Love it. Thank you again for coming on to Chits in the Sports. And again, the Bucks, you heard her. Rhonda said
it. I'm calling it. And I just wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to interview me. I appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you got to come back. Hopefully we'll be in person one day and we can chat it up. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You, Rhonda. Talk to you soon.
All right.
You
thank
too.
you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.